nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the St. John R2 Board of Education norms, which I have a copy available if anyone wants to read through that. And next on the agenda is the motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda of the December 21st, 2021 regular session meeting.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I skipped roll call, and I apologize. So, we're going to do roll call. Okay, over here, Eric Bosler.
Here.
Geraldine Diesel.
Here.
James Kirschner.
Here.
Martha Riesinger.
Here.
Richard Rudloff.
Here.
Terrence McDaniel.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Next, we have the public input session itself. The public input session will provide stakeholders with an opportunity to offer input on the updated version of the reopening plan, which will be uploaded to the district website on December 23rd in order to comply with the requirements set forth by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. It is important to note that this version of the plan follows current guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We anticipate many updates to be made to the plan to reflect changing recommendations from the CDC. Anyone that would like to speak? Yes. On the reopening plan, updated reopening plan. In the audience.
Would you like me to go this about this?
Yes, I would, thank you. I'm kind of jumping the gun there.
That's okay.
I'm ready
Really,
for Christmas. Sorry.
it's okay. When you look at the plan, page 2 is really where you want to be, because that's really a summary of the changes and the updates. I think, as most people know, the district received a letter from Attorney General Eric Schmidt on December 7th. It was the same letter that he sent to all Missouri public health departments. So after reading it, sharing it with Dr. Taylor, sharing it with Bailey, discussing it a little bit, my next phone call was to Jenny Mueller, the administrator at our health department. We talked through what the implications of that letter meant for us in our community, and took some time and let the health department really decide where they needed to go and what they needed to do in order to comply. And so once they kind of had a feeling of where they were going, she and I communicated again. I think it was the next day. And that's where a lot of these changes came from. We are still working with our health department. We are still complying with what they are doing. As we've said all along, we don't believe as public school employees that we have the authority to issue quarantine orders to anyone. So that's kind of where we're at. They're strongly encouraging, we're strongly encouraging. We are doing contact tracing when we know there's a positive case in our buildings and notifying those parents. We did put something in that first box up at the top on the positive COVID-19 cases. It's a Missouri statute. It's 167.191. This statute has been in place and effective since August 28th, 1963. And so I'm going to read it to you. It says, "It is unlawful for any child to attend any of the public schools of the state while afflicted with any contagious or infectious disease, or while liable to transmit such disease after having been exposed to it. For the purpose of determining the disease condition or the liability of transmitting the disease, the teacher or the board of directors may require any child to be examined by a physician and exclude the child from school so long as there is any liability of such disease being transmitted by this pupil." Our nurses have always called parents when kids become sick at school. We are continuing to do that. It seems in the last 2 weeks we have a lot, and I do mean a lot, of flu A going around. And we know that because that's what we're hearing in the county. Our families are getting tested for a variety of things. From what I'm hearing, they're testing for flu A, flu B, strep, COVID. They're testing for everything, and we're just seeing a lot of flu go around. So that Missouri law is there. That's what we use when our nurses contact you and ask you to come pick up your sick child, and we are going to continue that practice. Let me see. Close contacts, the definitions have not changed. We are recommending that the board still continue to strongly encourage everyone to wear face covering. And then on the buses, the federal requirement for masks on public transportation, which includes school buses, has not changed. So that is still in effect. I don't think Missouri state law trumps what a federal requirement is, because I have had some questions why that is continuing. So really, those are the updates. We did get some guidance from MSHA, but basically it said, follow what your local health department's doing and what your board adopts and says to do. But really, that's just a quick summary.
Thank you.
Okay?
All right, I'm sorry I jumped the gun earlier. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to provide any public input on the updated reopening plan? Any board members have questions? I just want to clarify one thing. We have not and will not quarantine. That's the health department's role. We identify close contacts and notify the parents.
Yes, we have been making the phone calls for the health department, but it's been their letter prior to the Attorney General's letter. It's a letter from the health department that issued the official quarantine.
Anyone else? All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn the public input session. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll try to get this next meeting correct. All right. (7:08). We will call this meeting to order. Since it's on my agenda, we are again going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. There's nothing wrong with that. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. David Bova here. Eric Bosler.
Here.
Geraldine Diesel.
Here.
James Kirschner.
Here.
Martha Reesinger.
Here.
Richard Rudloff.
Here.
Terrence McDaniel. Here. All present and accounted for. The Board of Education norms, again, are part of our agenda and are available to read if you would like to. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda, the December 21st, 2021 regular open session meeting.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second. The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I just want to point out that in the warrants and bills that we approved this month, there was $62,000 spent last month on legal bills for a battle we're having with a local manufacturer who disagrees with us. So, they have a right to do that battle, but I just want to everyone to understand that we are paying some expenses in that legal battle. Next on the agenda is public participation. Board members and administrators will listen to concerns and will respond when appropriate by mail or telephone at a later date. The public comment period will not exceed 15 minutes. No individual will be permitted to speak more than once during this period, and each speaker will be allotted no more than 5 minutes. per policy BDEH-1, public participation at board meetings. The following guidelines and procedures will be followed. In order to speak, the public comment form must be filled out and submitted to the board president prior to the beginning of the meeting. The public comment period, again, will not exceed 15 minutes. No individual will be permitted to speak more than once, and each speaker will be allowed no more than 5 minutes. I have one public comment card. It is from Mr. Jerry Capps. Mr. Capps, would you like to step forward?
I'm assuming here.
Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Jerry Capps. I graduated from this school in 1983. Mr. Terry was one of my teachers. I had two of four of my kids went to school here, and the other two are back to catch in the back end. I've recently come across a policy of the board that on tuition, or I'm not sorry, tuition attendance, that is a little bit one-sided. You know, he figured out in the 8th grade he didn't have to try to pass, and he wrote that thing, and the kid has a photographic memory. Curtis, not quite so much. Colton, the student that I'm, a little worried about tonight, has never had a B before COVID. He's a 4.0 student, and he's distraught. He absolutely don't want to try now. His attitude has completely changed. The kid is far beyond his age and wisdom and knowledge and ability, and now he's got the why should I try? He never misses an assignment. He's always ahead in school, and as far as I know, it doesn't cause any problems because he don't like to cause problems. And but like I'm just a little. Every time that he missed, we take him to the doctor. That goes with the 1963 law that you read this while ago. When your kid doesn't feel good, don't send them to school so they can spread it. That's just common sense. Nobody wants to do that. But that's what we've done, and that's caused a penalty to Colton. And I'm a little upset about we have called and tried to talk to people, and they nobody wants to cross the board policy. I'm here to challenge the board. I want the rule changed tonight, and I'll wait. But what is happening is Colton went to the buyback, to the first one, and he didn't have nothing to do. His work's all caught up, so he sat there and waited and did nothing. He said, "I'm going back again." So his whole life revolves around the school and the schoolwork. He takes weighted classes, and and he enjoys it. But in the last 10 days, it's just the air got up, popped out of the balloon. He missed Thursday and Friday with a stomach issue that's been going around, and he had an assignment in one class that was due Monday through Friday. Well, he missed Thursday and Friday and didn't get it turned in. The teacher wouldn't take it on Monday. It's a good thing it ain't a construction site. But I don't understand. When we feel that our kid needs to stay home, and we take them to the doctor and get a doctor's excuse, we make that. We pay the doctor too, and then for the board not to acknowledge or accept that doctor's advice. Who among you? Mr. Taylor, do you feel that you have the authority to say that my kid's doctor's excuse doesn't work? Do you? I don't. I built 24 doctor's offices, and I don't even feel the authority. If my doc says that, he should be excused from school and he's seen, I think the school should honor that. And what's happening now is Colton is not going to make the A honor roll because the couple times he was sick has caused him, to where he's losing points. I said, well, just go back and negotiate with him. Tell him you'll take 2 points. You'll come back and do a buyback if you give him 2 points instead of 1. But apparently, it doesn't. Politics is a little different than board members, I think. But I would like to see you guys consider that, if you have a student who went to the doctor, has an excuse, and has made up all his work, that shouldn't penalize that kid. Colton's going to be a dermatologist. and there's no doubt in my mind he will be one. And, his junior and senior year, his grades really count. He tries hard. And he's being penalized over an attendance policy that he's not behind. And I understand, if you miss school blatantly and don't turn your assignments in, they deserve to be punished. But if you're ahead and you turn it all in, I just think that we can do better than that.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, guys.
Dr. Cleve, is that a policy or a procedure? Policy? Something that could be discussed later if need be. Okay.
Grades go out tomorrow, so if
I don't know.
Next on our agenda is report to superintendent.
Thank you. In the board packet, you have 4 very nice notes of appreciation, and I believe Mr. Boga has received one that we would like to read tonight.
Thank you for allowing me to do that. I think all the board members know, but the board, I hurried the board and got them together. I apologize for that. It was last minute. Each year for the past 2 or 3 years, we've collected money and made a donation to a local organization. This year, we donated a Head Start. They try to give a toy to every child, and they were a little short this year. We got this back from them today. Thank you. And then they sent a letter. Mr. McDaniel was also there with me when I took the toys over. A heartfelt thank you to St. John R2 School Board from East Missouri Action Agency, St. Genevieve Head Start. Our St. Gen EMA Head Start family would like to express our heartfelt thanks to the St. Genevieve R2 School Board for the donation of toys to our program. We won't see the smiles and joy of children on Christmas morning, but we know the smiles will be there. And thank you all for the support of our Head Start program and how closely we work together for the good of children and families. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thanks again to East Missouri Action Agency, St. John County Head Start. So thank you all very much.
The next item on my report is to set the procedures for the annual school board election. That election will be held on April 5th of 2020. The expiring terms are Mr. Terry McDaniel, Mr. Richard Rudloff. Filing opened on Tuesday, December 7th at 8 a.m. It continues during regular business hours at district office, and that would be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Filing will not occur days that the office is closed due to inclement weather, which I don't think will be an issue because our temperature is going to be in the 60s. It won't occur on December 23rd, 24th, and 27th. The last day to file is Tuesday, December 28th. And really, if you're going to file, you need to be there by 4:30 to fill out all of the paperwork, because there is quite a lot of paperwork to complete. And we have to have the names turned in by 5 o'clock that day. So that is all of the information on filing. We currently have 4 people who have filed for these 2 positions. Jamie Ballou, who is here tonight. Michael Stoll, who is also here tonight. Larry Foff, and Joshua Gettinger. So that is the information, and I will move on to the next item, unless anyone has any questions. Okay. Next, we have set the dates for kindergarten registration. For St. John Elementary, that is Saturday, March 19th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bloomsdale Elementary, that will be Saturday, April 2nd from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Those offices will begin accepting and setting up appointments on Tuesday, February 22nd. So I will present this information each month until we have our kindergarten registrations. If you have a child who is kindergarten age or preschool age that you would like screened, please contact us February 22nd or after and set up your appointment. It's very important that we know and have an accurate as possible count so we have the right class sizes set for our kindergarten classes. Having a kindergarten class with 25 students is not a good situation at all. So the next item I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Taylor. He's going to talk about our Backpack for Friday program.
Good evening, everyone. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about every year in December. We are continuing our partnership with the Southeast Missouri Food Bank. We've maintained a price of a backpack at $350. There's a little confusion. Several years ago, the Southeast Missouri Food Bank took their backpacks and they cut them in half. And so that $350 went down to $175. And they cut the amount of food in half, and they made the food items more kid-friendly. So stuff that you wouldn't have to cook on a stove, pop-top items, dry items. When they did that, they offered to districts the opportunity to maintain what you're currently doing. So instead of taking the amount of food and cutting it in half, we could maintain our current backpack, and we would just have 2 of the smaller ones. That's what we chose to do. I touched base with our counselors in the buildings and talked it over with them, and we thought that was the best route for us to take. So we continued that. So when you see that 2 times $175, it's actually 2 of their current backpacks to make up 1 of our backpacks. Okay, does that make sense? This provides 36 weeks of healthy, nutritious food. It begins the first week of September, and then it ends the first week of May. We receive periodic emails from the Southeast Missouri Food Bank telling us when they're going to show up with our allotment of food, and then we store it down underneath the pack. This program is funded through donations from community organizations, local businesses, and community members. So the money that we will collect this year will go to pay for our backpacks for next year. And this isn't a pay-as-you-go operation. This is, we have to pay up front for all of our backpacks for the year. So all the backpacks for this year were paid for at the beginning of the year, in July. So they're all paid for this year, and now any money that we collect now goes into the fund for the purchase next year. Okay? Every year I get with the counselors and gauge where we are. Do we need to increase our number of backpacks and let the Southeast Missouri Food Bank know that we need a few more? Should we maintain where we are? Is the need not there, and do we need to reduce? This year we maintained 55 backpacks for students. $350 a piece, that's $19,250. In addition, the elementary counselors help navigate how many backpacks go to each building. They know the needs in their buildings. They're continually talking to students, talking to families, talking to the administrators in the building, talking to teachers in the building to identify students that might be in need. This year we are at 21 backpacks for Bloomsdale Elementary and 34 backpacks for St. John Elementary. You can see the enrollments there. Special thanks goes to our STARS students, Mr. John Robinson, Mrs. Debbie Baker, and Mrs. Joanne Grine. All of those people go down underneath the pack and help organize the food for delivery to the elementaries. They help with the delivery at times. They do a fantastic job of sorting the monthly shipments and getting them ready to go out where they need to be. Mrs. Jessica Greminger is the counselor at St. John Elementary. She organizes the program there. Mrs. Amy Rowland is the counselor at Bloomsdale Elementary School, and she organizes the program there. Our maintenance department does a fantastic job meeting the delivery driver and then transporting that food out to Bloomsdale Elementary. And then building administration continually support our program and help us identify those families that are in need. So far this year, these are community partners, businesses in the community, or just members of our community that want to contribute. It's important to list them, and I'm going to get with Mrs. Otto and see if we can maybe put something out on social media just to recognize these organizations and these individuals, because this is really an important program that we continue for the families in need in our community. And these donations are anywhere from a $10 donation to a full backpack of $350, and at times some of our businesses really put emphasis on this and donate us significantly more money to help support this program. So I want to thank all of these community partners, businesses, individuals it sure does go a long way to providing families in need in our community with food. If anyone would like more information about our Backpack for Friday program, don't hesitate to reach out. You can contact me, you can contact one of the secretaries in the board office, you can contact your building level administrators, you can also contact counselors, teachers. It tends to filter down to where it needs to be. We've been more than happy to help you out and get you directed where you need to go. So, any questions about the Backpack for Friday program?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, I jumped. You ready? I think this next one is me as well. This is our annual presentation of our disaggregated graduation rate data. I split it up a little differently. We used to throw a bunch of data up there, and it's small to begin with, so it's kind of hard to see. So what you see up here is our 4-year graduation rate from 2019, 2020, and 2021. And if you look in the green box that's outlined by red, you can see our percentages. 2 years ago, it was, I think that's 90.4, 92.8, my computer shut off, and then 89.4. So you can see 2021, our graduation rate dipped a little bit. And then right below that, you can see a breakout of male and female. It looked like there's 15 students that did not graduate, which resulted in our 89.4%. And I think 4 of those were female, and the rest were male. Oh, I'm hitting yours. Then we have 2 more categories. Did I flip? 2 more categories. The first one is race/ethnicity. And then the one right below it is free or reduced lunch. If you look at the ethnicity category, you can see we have a few students in those categories, and you can see how they shake out. DESE really likes you to pay attention to the different categories of race and ethnicity to make sure that we're being equitable to everybody. So there's that data. Right below it is the free or reduced lunch data. This is our lower socioeconomic status families. And this figure kind of concerned me a little bit when you see 22 of 34 of the free lunch students, which is 64.7% of those students graduating. That's really concerning to me. That tells me we need to pay a little more attention to those families that are in need and see what kind of supports we can get to them and reach out to them with. So that's why this data is important, because it helps us focus our attention where it needs to be. And then I think we have 2 more. IEP disability, and we don't list, well, DESE doesn't, oh, I'm sorry. DESE doesn't list the number of graduates and the number of students because we do not want to have the possibility out there that we're going to identify some of those students because it is a lower number. But we had 73.3% of those students graduating. And then our limited English proficient and non-limited English proficient students, we didn't have enough to get a number there from DESE. So that's why you don't see a percentage there. Are there any questions about the disaggregated graduation rate data? And really, the disaggregated term is kind of confusing. It's a big word for we're going to break it down into smaller groups. So if you'd like to go back and just take a peek.
And that can also include students leaving the district, right? Would that be?
So this is the 4-year graduation rate. We also have a 5-year graduation rate, a 6 and a 7-year graduation rate. This particular information focuses on the 4-year graduation rate. So yes, as we go on the next couple of years, that percentage should increase, yes. Any questions? I know it's a lot of information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One more item. Normally, somewhere around November, December, January, we like to present our APR information. We like to present our map and end-of-course exam information to everyone. This year, last year was a lot different. This year is a little different. We are transitioning from MSIP 5 to MSIP 6. I've sat in on a couple meetings. That transition is challenging. The transition from MSIP 5 to MSIP 6 is challenging in and of itself. Add into that COVID, virtual learning, blended learning, in-person learning, and how all of those districts in the state navigated that challenge, and then being able to put some data together that's comparable is making this much, much more challenging. Carrie asked me a week and a half ago if we were going to be ready, and I said, I think I might be able to make it. Well, I got 3 days in and realized I wasn't going to be able to make it for December. I plan on having some information to present to you next month. The APR is different because this is a baseline year for MSIP 6, and the APR is usually a 3-year average. Well, we didn't have data last year for some of our assessment information, and so how are we going to navigate that? How's DESE going to okay that through the U.S. Department of Education? So there are a lot of balls in the air that they're trying to juggle to be fair to all districts, large and small. So that is in process, and I hope to have some good, at least, assessment information for you next month. Okay.
I'm glad. The number, the 89.4, obviously isn't a number we want to see. It's
Sure.
better than the state, but I still am glad that, you know, we were here in person last year. We had a few different iterations of that, but I was glad we had our kids here in person learning.
Absolutely.
I appreciate all that was done and continues to be done. Sorry.
You're fine. The next item is our principal reports. So I believe Mrs. Zeusman is up first, as always, right?
Yes. This is working. Good evening. We've been pretty busy in December. Someone said to me when we came back from Thanksgiving, like, we're going to have to find a lot of positives because it's going to be a long 3.5 weeks. I was like, oh no, we got this, 3.5 weeks. But it has been a long 3.5 weeks. We started doing positive office referrals for teachers, and parents can submit those or other teachers can submit those. And we had 7 this month, or 8, I'm sorry, this month. So from the top right left-hand corner is Stephanie Ram. In the middle on the top is our #1 substitute teacher. She has worked every single day, and if she wasn't working that day, I probably called her at 9 o'clock and she came in. That's Jennifer Ryder, so we're very thankful for her. And then Miss Palmer, Miss Nelson, Miss Anderson is our speech teacher, Miss Bell, Miss Guilford, and Miss Schleter. And there were all kinds of wonderful positives about connecting with my child and making school a positive place for my child. And we went around and gave them treats and took their picture for those things. Then we had student positive office referrals. From the top left-hand corner is Christina Miles, Haven, Maine, Emmett Powell, Mira Brown, Anna Rhodes, Luke Rhodes, Adeline Lurk, Landon Geck, Alice McConkey, Adley Bays, and Judd Cage. And it could be for being proactive, getting your work done. It could be showing your leadership skills around the building. It could be for being helpful to the teachers. There were all kinds of reasons for positive office referrals. We had Hour of Code. That's across the nation. They do Hour of Code in December. And Miss Rowland does an awesome job at that. She starts a coding club, usually middle of October, and they go for 6 or 8 weeks where she's teaching them coding. And then all of those students get to go around to different classrooms and help those classrooms in their coding. And they feel like such great leaders. I mean, even second graders were helping, and they did an awesome job. In pre-K for Hour of Code, Miss Uding goes and has them code robots. and they did a good job at that too. They enjoyed it. For Thanksgiving, we did a find a turkey, and they got to come in Miss Heberly's office and match the turkey, and then the teachers got a reward. It could have been like wear yoga pants that day, get a 15-minute break. And we didn't send the email out till 6:30 that morning, and by 7 o'clock all the turkeys were found, because everybody was running around the building finding the turkeys. So the teachers enjoyed that. Up at the top, McTeacher's Night, we got a check for $587 for McTeacher's Night, and we didn't even have to show up, so that was amazing. We had a 4th and 5th grade music program. Mr. Friedmeier did an awesome job. And down at the bottom, right now we just finished up NWEA testing for winter. We do that in the fall, and then we do it again in the winter, and then we can see their growth and the areas that they need to work on. That's in the top right-hand corner. And then down at the bottom is Miss Sear in preschool, and I just caught her doing this just like a couple days ago, so I wanted to show you that we are still focusing on learning, even though everybody's excited about Christmas. And then this is all the Christmas activities. The district administration provided a luncheon for the teachers, and I have never heard so much laughing and fun. They were building gingerbread houses, and they got an hour for the luncheon, and they really enjoyed that, so thank you. We had Christmas dress-up days with PJs and ugly sweaters. Those are some pictures there. And then 2nd grade focused on Christmas around the world, and they were making Australian fairy toast. It's just toast with butter and sprinkles on it. It was really good. And then we recognized our habit leaders, and those are down at the bottom. We surprised our habit leaders with signs in their yard, and then we recognized them on the intercom and gave them their medals to wear that day and their certificates. And we've probably done a whole bunch more, but that's all I could fit on the slides. So that's it for Bloomsdale Elementary.
Good evening. At St. Genevieve Elementary, you can see this first slide. It's been all about Christmas for the whole month of December, it seems like. In the middle, on Friday, December 17th, we had a Green Grinch Day that was put on by our Student Lighthouse team. And the Grinch made an appearance in the building and was taking photos with students. In the top left-hand corner, we had a pajama day, and I happened to catch part of our pre-K sitting in the lobby, and they were doing a Christmas bingo. And so I just snapped a quick photo because I thought that was very cute. In the top right, we had an accessory day, and it's a little hard to see with the background there, but the students are all wearing Santa hats or reindeer ears, all sorts of necklaces. At the bottom, Santa himself made an appearance today in the elementary, and he's coming back tomorrow to see the remainder of our primary students. They were super excited that Santa was in the building today. And in the bottom left, we have 2 pictures of A Bug's Christmas. It was a production that Mrs. Lacey Bowman, our music teacher, put on with the help of the 1st grade teachers. And I think it was the first time in at least 2, if not 3 years that our 1st grade students were able to perform at the PAC. So it was really exciting for everyone, and the families were really excited to be able to get in there and see their students. On this slide, we have Mr. Kingery receiving the McDonald's McTeacher's Night check. We received $962.18. And like Mrs. Uspin said, the teachers didn't even have to show up that night, so our families really came out to support us, and we really appreciate their support. In the middle, Miss Grimminger, our counselor, and again, the Student Lighthouse team. I told you previously they put on a pink day to support the oncology department. Oh, that one's Shop with the Cop, sorry. They did the pink day, and they raised money, and that check was sent to the oncology department. This year, they did a fundraiser for Shop with a Cop instead of doing the annual coin drive. With COVID, Mrs. Grimminger thought it was not a great idea to bring in all the change and count it, so they ended up just doing a donation, and they were able to raise $250, and they presented Officer McCarty with the check. And the next 4 pictures are slides of our 2nd quarter habit leaders. We were set to take the trolley out on, I believe it was December 10th, the night that they were planning for all the severe weather. So we had to scrap the trolley and we went to Plan B, and teachers went out on their own and delivered signs to their students. So those were just a few of the students with their teachers. We had 6 positive office referrals. Brody McMillan, Adrian Bowman, Ruby Wibbenmeyer, Kennedy Kist, Isaiah Baker, and Colton Quillman. And these students were nominated by teachers, peers, other staff members for doing great things and being great leaders at St. Genevieve Elementary. And this month I have 2 feature teachers and 2 super staff. During the November meeting, we had not selected our November staff members yet. So for November, the featured teacher was Miss Heather Ehlers. Heather is kind, caring, and patient with all of her students. She's adaptive to changes that arise in the early childhood setting. Heather is always a positive person, and her positive attitude is contagious. She's a wealth of knowledge and experience with a wide range of abilities, and she prepares activities to meet the needs of all of her students' developmental needs and works to provide the best environment for all kids. I look up to her and love working with her. Those were nominations that were made by her colleagues. And the December featured teacher was Coach Kreitler. Coach makes each week in PE fun and exciting. Students love going to PE. Not only do they have fun, but they exercise and are engaged in learning at all times. The music that he plays in class is an added bonus. In addition to his regular duties, Coach continues to reach out to students outside of class time, and during lead time, he covers classrooms, reads books, and does activities with all the students, and they absolutely love it. And if you've ever had an opportunity to be in our lobby or in our office when Coach is having PE, the excitement and the laughter and just the sheer fun that's coming from the gym will make anyone's day when you listen to Coach. And then our super staff members, November was Miss Kat Wolk. She is amazing. She works with kiddos that maybe are more challenging than others and does it with a smile and a sense of humor. She's extremely patient and remains calm and collected even in the most extreme situations. Kat is a pleasure to work with and never complains. And our December super staff member was Miss Diana Bushnell. She's dedicated to working with our smallest and most needy students. She puts her heart into her job and is so caring with the littles. She is always helpful and jumps right in with her students. She walks in each morning with a smile and a positive attitude, and she has been a very positive addition to the early childhood and preschool team. And I believe that is it for St. Genevieve Elementary.
Good evening. Merry Christmas. I always find this time of year to be busy, of course, hectic, challenging on Sundays, but also we do take time to have some fun and to spread Christmas cheer, and that's one of the things I like about working here. And that's some of the things that I've focused on this first slide. At the top left, you can see some of our students who went around and made our annual cookie deliveries. And this is a unique group of students because the only thing that they have in common is that at one point this year, they all received a positive office referral. So you've got different grade levels there, students of different interest circles, and that's the common thread that brought those guys together. We did a random draw, and these were the guys that got to go around and deliver cookies and made over 20 stops all around the county at some of our partners, some folks we work with, some folks we just wanted to show some appreciation to. And they just had a great day doing that. And I want to thank the sponsors that went with them as well, and everybody that helped with baking the cookies and getting those ready. So that was a great day. At the top right, you can see student council members visiting our local care center. And they went caroling for some of the residents there. That's at the top right and at the bottom left. And they too had a great day. And I thank those sponsors, Mrs. Jokers and Mrs. Mertz left, for taking those students, and they came back with some really positive reports about how they were received. So we appreciate those guys for doing that. At the bottom right, you can see our middle school band at their performance. We did also have a choir performance. I apologize, I didn't get a picture. I wasn't able to attend, unfortunately. But we're really proud of those students and want to make sure that we take some time to appreciate the arts as well as we do all of our endeavors here. And then in the bottom center, you can see Mr. Roth. Mr. Roth is just as enthusiastic about STEM as I've ever seen anyone. And he's done a great job of helping to expand our program in middle school, and in fact is teaching some introductory STEM courses for us this year for the first time. And as part of that, we paid a membership to the Youth Coding League. And that's pretty local. It runs out of Cape Girardeau, but it includes dozens of schools from all around our region, and even as far away as Vermont, Tennessee, Kansas. So it does reach out, and it's growing. But in the fall season, fall of 2021, our middle school team placed 4th out of those schools, and Mr. Roth won a special award from the Youth Coding League in which they named him the Epic Educator for the season. So he's recognized on their website in a very nice little video, and he also received a very generous honorarium from Youth Coding League. So congratulations to Mr. Roth for that. We have had almost 30 positive office referrals since I saw you last, and ranging from all kinds of things. Many of them what I call being good humans, just showing kindness, helping those in need, helping other kids with homework, and then a lot of it about taking good care of themselves, being ready for school, having all their assignments done, things like that. And I always think it's important that we take time to recognize those guys. So let's give a shout out to Keely Fallert, Kyra Kreitler, Clementine Birkenstock, Alex Bosler, Elijah Bennett, Tristan Keith, Justin Slinkard, Cecilia Mooney, Abigail Woodard, Jaden Roth, Hayden Worthy, Parker Stomberg, Jacob Sulzer, Ethan McDonald, Colton Roth, Alexis Wright, Landon Jones, Caleb Lawrence, Maya Klein, Aaliyah Capps, Dalton Bowman, Cale Schmelsley, Lucas Steve, Mackenzie Greer, Colton Brace, and there's Lucas Steve again. He got a double this month. Congratulations to those guys. And especially to Miss Keely Fallert. When Mrs. Huffman redesigned how she did positive office referrals, one of the things that we wanted was cohesion among our programs in the middle school building. So she based the positive office referrals around family, tradition, and excellence. So we find a way to categorize each of the positive office referrals under one of those 3 pillars. And we had decided at the beginning of the year that we should give a special award to somebody who's able to achieve a positive office referral in all 3 of those categories. And it's been fun, but also a little nerve-wracking to sit back and wait and wring our hands and say, who's it going to be and how long is it going to take and is this going to work? And just at the beginning of this month, December 4th, I think it was, Miss Keely Fallert achieved the goal of becoming an ultimate dragon by receiving positive office referrals in all 3 of those categories. And I don't know if she was as excited as we were, but I can tell you she was very excited and proud of herself, as she well should be. So we tried to make a big fuss out of Keely over that, but she's too sweet and too modest to make a big deal out of it herself. So we did that for her. Way to go, Keely. Great job. Our December spotlight in middle school shines on Mr. Mueller this month. You can see some of the positive comments that his peers left for him in their nomination forms. Great enthusiasm, of course. Willing to do whatever it takes. He's the true definition of a dragon. Proactive with students, positive energy. Goes above and beyond to help students. And one of the things that he's known for off the record is his great sense of humor, especially when it comes to dad jokes. You know, he's just got a little bitty one, but it didn't take him long to master the dad jokes. He's pretty good at that, and he does keep us in stitches, that's for sure. So congratulations to Mr. Mueller. Quick view of what's ahead. Classes resume, of course, on January 6th. On the 14th of January, we'll celebrate our 2nd round of Wings students, and then we have Club Day on the 18th. The NAEP is coming up on February 1st. As you know, the nation has been offering that test for close to 40 years now, and it runs on a multi-year cycle, and schools are randomly chosen, and within that school, random students are chosen, and it seems like we're pretty good at getting randomly chosen on that test, because when it comes up, we usually are asked to give it. But I also think maybe that means they appreciate our participation and the data that we're able to provide. So we do have some of our students taking the NAEP again on February 1st. And then on February 3rd will be the Spelling Bee at North County. That's the conference Spelling Bee. And of course we'll have a qualifier a few days ahead of time to decide who's going to go over there for that. Okay? Thank you all very much. Have a great evening.
Good evening. evening, and I feel a little underdressed. I should have worn a sweater tonight. That's what I should have done. I'm trying to figure out who's got the best one. Is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
My son's got a shirt that looks almost identical to that, just so you know, Mr. Bosley. I have a couple of comments, really, before I get in and talk a little bit about the high school. One, you guys were talking about graduation rate as we started and as we got going. We're proud to report in the high school that we have 2 students that would have graduated with last year's class that have completed and have finished up. So they are done. So that will help add to that number going forward as we look at 5-year, 6-year graduation rates. So we're very, very happy that those students have finished up and have finished their education. So that's item number 1. Item number 2, Dr. Mercer, the cookies were amazing, but the singing that those students had was, okay. It wasn't real good, but it was a lot of fun to see them coming around and delivering cookies to us. They came by the high school office and we made them sing. They really didn't want to, but it really was a lot of fun.
Well, they came to McDonald's and they were very good.
Were they enthusiastic?
Yes.
They weren't. So maybe it's just us. Maybe we weren't very enthusiastic.
I heard it took at least part of the morning to get them to warm up.
So we were the warm-up.
Maybe, yes.
Okay, I can live with that. A lot has been happening in the high school, just like the other buildings. I want to point out the picture down on the left-hand side. Mr. Diamond's class has been making soap in their advanced chemistry class. And so I got an opportunity to be able to go in and smell and see the different items that they were utilizing in soap, from coffee to cocoa beans. It was very, very interesting to see the different types of soap that they were forming and making, and the different consistencies and the hardness and the thickness. So it really was a lot of fun to see the kids, and challenging them and getting to see them educationally in a little bit of a different light was really a lot of fun for me. And then the student actually next to Mrs. Dunn is making, in Mrs. Bowman's class, for those of you that have never had an opportunity to step foot in her room and see just the amazing work that our students put in and the amazing work that Mrs. Bowman does, the student was making a papier-mâché guitar, and she was challenged for sure, but really was putting together a very, very quality product. So we're very lucky to have Mrs. Bowman, and we're very lucky to have a lot of the amazing artists that we have around here. And those are just a couple of places that I got to pop in rooms during this past month and just get an opportunity just to see the great work of our students and our teachers. In the middle, we have Mrs. Dunn. I know that Mrs. Diesel ran into her the other day at the grocery store. For those of you that have been following along in our morning announcements, Mrs. Dunn has had a different Christmas outfit every day. So tomorrow she promises that it will cap off in a very good way. So I don't know what that means, but it should be very entertaining, I'm sure.
She's very festive.
She is very festive. She loves the Christmas season. And Nutty has not made an appearance yet this year, so I'm not real sure if he's coming tomorrow or not. The big nutcracker that she brings in every year that's made its way around the high school into different rooms and different offices. So I'm going to guess he may be making an appearance tomorrow. Then down in the bottom right, we got a shout out from Jess Fallard, who teaches our adaptive PE, and one of our cadet teachers, Faith Lincoln, spent some time working on an obstacle course for our adaptive students. Mrs. Fallard had nothing but amazing things to say about Faith and just the work and the job that she's done in that class during that 3rd hour adaptive PE. So we just wanted to give a shout out to Faith and the job that she's done in there with her cadet students. All right, a little bit of giving back in the high school during the Thanksgiving season. Dr. Etherton every year, and I'm sure Drew has been a part of this as well, they put together Thanksgiving dinner kits, and this year we're excited to announce that we were able to deliver, and Dr. Etherton worked extremely hard to get 77 total dinner kits to be able to be donated back to the community. So that is fantastic work. I know that does an amazing job of just feeding and helping out a lot of individuals during the Thanksgiving holidays. So we want to thank Dr. Etherton and the FCCLA chapter here. Mrs. Wolk's class was the first place winner in the contest that took place, and they were rewarded. You can see the boxes and boxes of food that took place on the left-hand side. And then Mr. Diamond, with his gaming club, also got in the action this year of being able to raise some funds and also make some donations during the Thanksgiving holidays. They put together a charity Smash Brothers is what he called it, or Smash Giving is what he called it, and they played Mario Smash Brothers for their little tournament that they had, and the students went through, and up at the top you can see the bracket that they played through. Russell Kirchhoff ended up winning that tournament. Mr. Harris was second. Russell's brother Jimmy was third, and then Orlando Jordan came in fourth place. So we're super excited, not only what Mr. Diamond has done with that organization and being able to provide students a safe place. I walked through there this afternoon, and he's right in the middle of playing games with those kids and just getting in there and just having a blast, but also taking it to another level and being able to donate and give back to the community. I think that's super awesome. We also want to thank Iggy Zielinski down at Iggy's Pop Shop for sponsoring the event and also donating some prizes to go back to the winners. So we definitely want to give a shout out to him as well. Some major accomplishments for this month. We definitely want to recognize our Rotary Student of the Month, which was Liz Bosler. She chose to take Mrs. Okowski to the Rotary Luncheon, and Mrs. Jury was not able to attend and was disappointed. She heard it was a pretty good lunch, Mr. Bova, and so she was disappointed that she missed out on that Rotary Luncheon. And then we also have Finnegan Jokers down in the bottom, who is our Elks Student of the Month. We had several positive office referrals this month, a wide range from giving students a ride that wouldn't necessarily fit into their social class or social status, that just really touched some hearts, to a very, very emotional conversation that I had with a parent with a student sitting in the room, and I think that everybody in the room was tearing up, probably Mrs. Jury more than anybody, but it was just a really touching moment, and really a great opportunity to reach out to that parent and just have a very great conversation about the great work that their kid was doing. And I think in the moment it was something that parent really needed to hear, and that kid needed that boost. So it was really awesome. So our positive office referrals range from Diamond Bird to Levi Hook, Leah Hayward, Zana Powell, Kate Misplay, Dallin Roth, Avery Cook, Sadie Grimminger, Mallory Rottler, Chloe Staffen, Kaylin Fowler, Landon Powell, Zach Boyer, Jolie Parker, Maria Kemper, Sophia Fritsch, and Drew Newman. Well, you did. We just haven't talked yet. Finals have been wreaking havoc on that. You just... Am I going to get popsicles again? Maybe. We'll see. Patched Overalls is back. We are super excited that we have been able to make a connection with Tyson Schaffner again. He is back and providing great opportunities for our students. We missed out on that opportunity last year, and our seniors did. And so he's got a little different spin that he's doing with our seniors to try to give them an opportunity. And so more will be coming in regards to that information. But he has announced the junior winner for Patched Overalls this year is Lindsay Crump. And Lindsay this summer is planning on taking a trip out to Montana. She's very, very interested in paleontology. And she's going to go out to the Big Basin Institute out in Montana, and she's excited to study geology and paleontology out in Montana. So very excited there. They're going to go to a couple of excavation sites. They're going to do some digs in a couple of different locations. I was able to kind of take a look at her itinerary. So it looks like Monday, Tuesday, Friday, they're going to one site, and on Wednesday and Thursday they're going to a different site. So it really looks like a lot of fun. And I haven't had an opportunity to ask her about this pig races in the historic saloon, exactly what that is, but I'm really interested in that. She shared her whole itinerary with me, and our intention was to sit down and meet today, and it didn't happen because of final exam schedule. But I'm very interested what this whole pig race and historic saloon is. So it will be very interesting. For those of you that know anything about Lindsay, she is an amazing young lady. She serves on our principal advisory group, and she has kind of turned into my go-to. She's a go-getter. Anytime we need anything, she is always willing to step up. She actually has put together a lot of candy canes that have gone around the school with positive notes and positive words that have been taken by our students. And it's interesting, we didn't know how it would take off, and as we walked around and looked at Christmas trees today, there were no candy canes left. So either they were excited about the candy canes or they were excited about the notes. I'm not really sure. But it really was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see where she goes with things and just kind of the leader that she really is becoming. So. And then our final chapter that we kind of have for the high school this month, we hosted a FAFSA Frenzy at the beginning of December, and we brought some experts in to work with our students as they prepare for college next year, and the FAFSA can be very daunting. Mr. Toombs and Mrs. Sikowski worked really hard to get some individuals in, and we had about 20 to 25 students that showed up, which doesn't seem like a great number. However, FAFSA has really moved to a lot of online, and we really want to provide that service for students that truly, and parents that truly need the help, that are truly going through it for the first time. You know, a lot of our parents have experienced that with other children or have gone through those steps and may not need that help, but we want to make sure that we're still providing the opportunity to reach out to those parents that are doing it for the first time or that do have questions. And it was very positive. I know Mr. Toombs initially was a little disappointed at the numbers, and then as he walked around and engaged with parents and students, he was very, very happy with the connection and what he was in the feedback that he was hearing from our parents and students that did attend. So we're super excited about that. The 3 pictures in the middle, and you notice Dr. Nix and his tweeting abilities have gotten, he's very proud of this. So if you ask him about Gippard, he will tell you all about it. He actually has been recognized by some local media outlets for St. John using Gippard, and they actually have retweeted him, and so he's super excited. He actually sent me a text message a couple of nights ago and said, see, I'm making it big time now. So he's using that right now to really highlight a lot of the things that we have going on with our athletes. So Nathan St. Clair, who was an all-state cross-country runner, was recognized by the Mineral Area Coaches Association as they went through and they did a recognition of him. They actually went through and selected several students in the local area, and he was a recognition from our school, which is really, really cool. We had some all-state football recognitions, and then we had some academic all-state football recognitions as well. So Dr. Nix has worked extremely hard. Our coaches have worked extremely hard. The fall sports season was extremely successful. We were able to have a fall sports ceremony, and those went very, very well. Just getting an opportunity to recognize our kids, our coaches, and the hard work that they've put into this fall season, and just to see the success they're having on and off the field has really been a lot of fun. And then down in the bottom right-hand corner, we have Mrs. Uzel's class, and they had an opportunity to go and attend a Vincent van Gogh exhibit that was located in St. Louis. And her French students, her French 3, 4, and 5 students actually got an opportunity to take that trip. And in talking to them, just had a blast. Getting to see that cultural experience and just the arts, and getting to understand an appreciation for that artwork and what Vincent van Gogh had, and making those connections back to her classroom and the culture within her classroom was really neat, and a lot of the kids had just some really cool things to say about that. So I wanted to highlight that and the work that Mrs. Uzel did in making that happen, and getting our students out and getting them an opportunity to experience some of those things outside of here. And the last thing I have for you guys, I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. It's great to see you guys. I love the festive sweaters. That's all I can say. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. One more. I cut myself off early. Teacher of the Month, we do have Mrs. Teresa Caba. She was the December Teacher of the Month. We actually just announced this today. And the students, so we go through that process. We open it up to students. Students get an opportunity to make nominations. And the nomination that came in for Mrs. Caba that our principal advisory group chose for this month is that she is a teacher that always is kind and thoughtful to everybody. And, oh gosh. And she has such a loving heart. Every time I am in her class, she talks to me personally and asks me how I am, and makes everybody feel like they are cared for within her class and out. She tries to get to know everybody on a personal level and talks to us like we are her friends. She is an amazing person to talk to, and we can talk to her as if she is family. Plus, she is an amazing teacher, and I love going to her class every day. My friends and I can agree that this teacher is one of the best teachers in the school. And for those of you that know Mrs. Caba, she's got a huge heart. I walked down and got an opportunity to talk to her about this today, and you can see she was just beaming. I think that this is something that she needed. She kind of needed that uplifting moment here to close out the semester. She really cares a ton about our kids, and I think that was very, very fitting for them to select her as the December Teacher of the Month. And then we did a little something different. So down in the bottom, you can see there's a little design that's out there. And this is actually pushed out to all of our student Chromebooks right now. Our principal advisory group actually came up with a design, and then we reached out to our Teacher of the Month from last month for an inspirational quote. On the background of the student computers was just it was a black background with our logo that was on it, and every kid would pop that open. And so my principal advisory group a couple of months ago said, hey, what if we were to design something and push something out each month and change that design and put something positive, but also we can theme that with whatever the theme of the season is. And so that was created actually by Lindsay Crump and Brenna Wiener put that together. So they put together the design, and then Mrs. Halle Fowler came up with the quote. So we're super excited to continue that tradition. I will be excited to see what our kids come up with as the months go on and as our teachers come up with different quotes. So on that is it, I promise.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Always the best part of the meeting.
The last thing under my report, you shelter in place is basically an exercise that we do if you can't get out in a situation here at school, if you can't get out of the classroom and you have to stay where you're at. This is an exercise that teaches the students what to do when they have to lock down and make it appear that nobody's there. So once the drill starts, our admin teams go around and try to open doors and peek in windows just to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to. So it's just one of those drills you do and hope and pray you never have to use.
In addition, may I add something?
Sure, go ahead.
In addition to that, while a lot of times these drills seem like a task that we have to check off the list to do, we hope that it identifies items that we can improve on. This last shelter-in-place drill, if you're familiar with the old way to do things, it was shelter in place and you go to a spot in your room and you hide the kids, get away from the windows, lock the door, maybe barricade the door a little bit, but you don't want the kids to be seen. That's transition. That used to be called shelter in place. So we have to take that mindset and transition it from that. Now our shelter in place is you lock the door, check the hallway, see if there's any students out there, pull them in, make sure they're safe, lock the door, and continue teaching. Continue doing what you normally do. This is, we've got a flooded hallway because a toilet overflowed in the bathroom, and we need to shelter in place so we can get it cleaned up and don't have a bunch of students walking through. So it's less of a intruder type drill. It's no longer that. For our intruder drills, we have an ALICE drill, and we follow that protocol. This shelter in place drill identified some areas of focus for us that we're going to improve upon for next year. Officer Clark brought a couple things to my attention after that drill occurred, because she always debriefs with some of the teachers and keeps an eye on what's going on. So while that is a checkbox item that we have to do, it is also a very important item that helps us identify areas of improvement so that should something happen, we're ready for it.
Next, we have unfinished business, and the first item on the agenda is instructional program presentations from the 3rd grade.
And last month, I said it wasn't on the agenda. I think I accidentally moved it to another section. So the 2nd grade presentation was on the agenda. I just think I moved it. So tonight we have 3rd grade on the right keyboard.
3rd grade curriculum board presentation. Watch what happens when 2 schools come together to make the most of 3rd grade. We'll start with ELA. Our learning targets for reading include elements of fiction, character analysis, inferring themes, text features and main idea, text structures and main idea, point of view, and poetry drama. Our essential outcomes for first semester are summarizing fiction text on a student's independent reading level. Expectation is to begin at a level 28 nonfiction and progress to a level 38 nonfiction by the end of the school year. We make text-based predictions and produce a narrative writing. During 2nd semester, we determine importance to identify the main idea and supporting details of a nonfiction text. We produce an informational piece of text. Next is phonics. Within each phonics unit, we work on oral reading fluency and phonemic awareness activities. We also learn and practice strategies to break down the most common spelling patterns in order to decode single and multisyllabic words. In addition to the decoding strategies practiced in each unit, this year we have incorporated a spelling piece to ensure students have the opportunity to carry the same skills they are learning in reading over into their writing. This year's 3rd grade students were first introduced to the Really Great Reading Phonics series when they were in 2nd grade. We are continuing to work through the series, picking up where students left off to complete the program. In math, 3rd grade essential outcomes include learning about place value to the thousands, multiplication and division strategies, and learning our factors through 10. We demonstrate fluency of addition and subtraction through 1,000 and round whole numbers to the nearest 10 and 100, and practice 2-step word problems involving all 4 operations. We tell time to the nearest minute, estimate time intervals, learn about charts, graphs, and number lines. We also talk about area and perimeter, capacity, and whole fractions and their equivalents. In social studies, third graders study reading and constructing maps, Missouri and bordering states and Missouri regions, earlier Missouri history, Native Americans, European immigrants, African slaves, issues of Missouri statehood, Dred Scott decision, Missouri's role in Civil War, Missouri government's purpose of constitution, branches of government, and economy, public goods and services, natural and capital human resources, and supply and demand. Students become very focused and interested when we discuss early settlers in St. Genevieve as the first settlement west of the Mississippi River. Since we studied Missouri history, we often take field trips to the local historical homes. In science, third graders study the following units: physical science, matter and motion forces; life science, plant and animal life cycles and adaptations, heredity and traits; and earth and space sciences, seasonal weather, design solutions for hazard-related weather. Both elementaries implement an intervention block to reach our most at need students. Interventions are determined by data used from common assessments, the DRA, NWEA, and really great reading scores. This way, we can ensure that every student is getting exactly what they need. But most of all, in third grade, we just really love to have fun.
Next on the agenda, we have music, property liability, and workers' compensation insurance.
Yes. This is our annual renewal. Trying to think. This year, when we got the bill, there was a slight increase. The renewal assessment amount was $292,625. We do have a higher membership credit this year. It's 10%. So that membership credit reduces the cost to, the membership credit is $29,000 or $29,267. So our 2022 renewal assessment will be $263,398. This is pretty close. I think it's a difference of $27 compared to what we paid last year. Our liability insurance, as you see, covers a lot of items: property and equipment breakdown, general liability, buses, school board liability, workers' compensation, treasurer's bond, cyber liability, and pollution liability. Really, there are no modifications or additions because we have not added or removed any properties. Oops, wrong computer. So here you see the square footage of our buildings, our facilities, and how much that square footage was valued in 2021. And here I've added the 22 values per square foot. Really, where we saw increases were at the Fieldhouse Press Box, which is outside, our storage shed, which is outside, Yanks North, Leon's Field, and our daycare, which it's our building, but we rent it out to a daycare. So we really saw increases only in our properties that are used really by outside people more than usual. We have been members with music for 26 years. We receive outstanding service. They're wonderful to work with. They're easy to work with. Carrie Foth is the one who files almost everything with them on our liabilities, and she manages everything well. So my recommendation would be to approve the 2022 renewal assessment rates and continue our partnership with the Missouri United School Insurance Council.
Dr. Kelly, I have just a quick question. Is this the kind, do most public school districts in the state belong to music?
Yes.
Yeah. And do we kind of shop around or?
We have been with music for 26 years.
Right.
They are, as you see, the school insurance company. They work with nothing but school districts.
Mhm.
So we do not shop it. We have always just stayed with music.
If you leave music, you can't get back in for 3 years.
Is it 3 or 5?
That was 5.
Yes.
So it's fine.
Yeah,
This rate's actually $27 cheaper than last year, which is unusual.
yes, it is. Usually it goes up, but it's more like a consortium.
Right.
And the more-
Who underwrites them?
I don't know.
Probably multiple.
Probably,
Yeah, probably.
but I do not know.
If you see some of the claims that other districts make, it's a very good deal. A very good deal.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the meal assessment rate with Missouri United School Insurance Council as presented.
Second.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the 2021-2022 reopening plan.
I discussed the updates earlier. I recommend that you approve the updates and the continued use of strongly encouraging face coverings for students, employees, and visitors on our campuses during school hours.
I'll make a motion to approve the reopening plan.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business, we have the annual audit.
Yes. Give me just a minute to bring in the presenter. There you go. All right. Hi, Andrew. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We
All
have with us Andrew, I'm going to say your name, Zubel?
Isabel, yep.
Yes, he's with Clifton Larson Allen, and he's going to present our annual audit. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Julie. First of all, apologies I couldn't be there in advance. Chris Suda, who's also a partner and principal with our state local government practice, was planning to be there on site, but his dad actually had a heart issue, so he had to go into emergency surgery. So fortunately, he couldn't be there in person, and I'm out of town. But I did want to walk through the fiscal year 2021 financial statement audit with you. I'm going to share my screen. Well, it looks like I can't share my screen, Julie. So I'll just go through it with you guys verbally. Just some financial statement highlights from the results for fiscal year 20. Total assets, mainly your cash balance, they increased by 1.1 million. Long-term debt at the same time declined by about 2.5 million. So overall, St. Genevieve really improved their financial position. When we look at what really changed, some of the timing of your debt payments improved or were lower in 2021 versus 2020. In addition to that, there's been a common theme throughout my quick presentation that there was a significant amount of federal funding in fiscal year 2021 compared to the prior years. So the scope of our work, it really comes down to three things. We do a financial statement audit. That tests the cash balances, your receipts and disbursements. The financial statements are basically on a cash basis of reporting. We also do a single audit that's compliance with federal programs, and we have a state compliance specific audit that's related to attendance and transportation. We are finished with our audit. Julie will actually be sending you the signed report once it's approved by the board. The scope of our single audit, or the federal programs audit, with overall clean opinion, unmodified. We did have one finding in internal controls. We also had an unmodified opinion on the financial statements and the district's compliance with Missouri state laws. The scope of our single audit covered both the ESSER fund and the child nutrition cluster. Normally, we only test one program simply due to the size of federal expenditures. But as I mentioned, federal revenue is up about $1 million in fiscal year 21 versus 2020, so we're required to audit two major programs. Just one thing that I want to highlight with you guys as it relates to significant non-recurring transaction is there was a debt refinancing, so you issued the 2022 bonds. You used that money to pay down the 2017 debt. That did help improve, the interest rate that you guys are paying on the outstanding debt. In addition to that, there's going to be some new accounting pronouncements, Julie, that we want to work through in fiscal year 2022 that will impact your footnote disclosures as it relates to how you record and show leases. The one item that I mentioned that there was a finding was related to the child nutrition cluster. The child nutrition cluster has requirements that relate to suspension and debarment. Basically, when you have a vendor, you have to check to make sure they're not suspended and debarred, and the district did not do that. So it's a compliance finding. Overall, really not a significant finding. There was no question cost or anything like that, but still something that we're required to report. And then just one other item that I'm going to talk through you is the trends in federal expenditures. So like I mentioned, in fiscal year 21, federal expenditures increased by $1 million approximately, which represents about a 61% increase from the prior year. This trend in federal spending is really not going to decline or change for the next probably two or so years. On the horizon, we have ESSER $3, so that's the American Recovery Plan Act. In addition to that, the Build Back Better legislation could bring another tranche of funding as it relates to pre-K. So the trend in high amounts of federal revenue that's going to help support the financials for the school district, I would suspect that to continue for at least the next 3 years. That is the summary of my report. I open up to any questions if you have any.
Andrew, so besides the one finding of just making sure we're double checking food vendors, no issues with the district audit whatsoever?
Correct.
And that's an item that Jordan in our food service keeps a sheet on every item that she seeks a bid on, and it's just kind of, she's worked with Nick and one of our other auditors and has added a line where she goes to the SAMS.gov website, she checks the vendor and checks if they're debarred, suspended, or in good standing. So we've added that to all of her paperwork.
Yeah, and then when the district thinks about it, I mean, you guys did lose Chris, and Chris was a pretty big resource, and you didn't lose a step. For the most part, you were still able to close the books, you're still able to reconcile things. But I think that's also something to consider as well here.
So that means thanks to Chrissy and
Yes, very much. Thanks to Chrissy Gettinger for
everyone who assisted her.
and Chris Ritter. Chris came in and guided her through quite a bit. So yes, we know it took a little bit longer than in the past, but we got there.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the only district that's delayed. All this amount of federal funding has pushed deadlines back with DESE, so it's normally a 12/31 deadline, and DESE is now being a lot more lenient with that deadline, pushing it back to January. So I don't think you guys are of the norm here of filing a little later compared to prior years.
Any other questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Great job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yep.
Any other questions for Dr. Fleet or Dr. Taylor?
Are we required by law to do an audit every year, or?
Yes. We are required to do it and submit it to DESE and our finance company by December 31st. So yes.
Really, on this little bugaboo with me for years, on transportation disbursements. Purchase services, pupil contracting, that's regular everyday transportation, correct?
To and from school.
To and from school, that's not early childhood special ed, that's nothing above and beyond, that's just getting Johnny from home to school and back to home, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so it's $1,365,000. Folks, we're supposed to be getting reimbursed 75 or what, 72 or 75%? 75% of those costs. Currently, we're getting, what is it, 18%? Less than 20%. That means the local school district has to reach into its revenues to pay for that transportation when the state's supposed to be doing that for us. You know, I'm not going to turn down money that the state sends us, but according to the state, they're supposed to be reimbursing us, and they don't. You know, and that's just bad for the bugaboo of mine. You got to get the kid to school to teach them, but then it's going to cost us to get us to school when the state should be reimbursing us for getting those kids here. So if you see your state legislature and they say, well, we put more money in transportation, well, thanks for the $2.98.
Right.
You know, it's not, you know, it helps. I'm not going to turn it down, it helps. But it's a far side from what it's supposed to be.
I think one of the points Mr. McDaniel is also making is we appreciate everything we get, but we are held to the letter of the law on so many regulations. I'm not quite sure why they can't hold themselves to the letter of the law. So, just, I don't know. I think you and I probably talk about this a lot.
Oh, yeah. And don't be fooled by the lottery. The lottery does contribute to education, but it's not near what you think it is. It's a very small part of the total budget, very small.
And it's divided.
And we're not going to turn it down, but when they put these advertisements on television, man, what more? It's quite, to the average person, it's a lot of money. But when it trickles down, it's not a lot. Okay. And I'm not going to turn it down. I'm not going to turn it down. I'm done. Thanks, sir. That's my annual.
Motion to approve the annual audit for the 2020-2021 school year as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, on the new business agenda, we have a revision to the 2021-2022 school calendar.
Yes. I have an advisory committee. It's called the Dragons Advisory Team. They are composed of certified and support staff members, or it is composed. They received some suggestion from their peers that we add some professional development days in the spring, 2 in particular. And so my dad, that's their acronym, my dad made a recommendation that we get the calendar committee together and make this proposal to them. So we did. The calendar committee is proposing tonight that we amend the 2021-22 calendar and make February 17th a professional development day for all employees, and also make March 14th a professional development day for all employees. The February 17th date, we have some certified employees who will be presenting on February 18th at a very large professional development event. It's called the River Professional Development Event. This year it's being held at Windsor in Imperial, Missouri. It involves St. Genevieve, Windsor, Jefferson R7, and Herculaneum. It's something that they've done one year without us. We couldn't get it on our calendar, so this is our first year joining this big professional development event. We believe the 17th would give those teachers who are going to present time to collaborate and really get themselves prepared. We have things with our paraprofessionals and aides that we need to finish and accomplish for this year. And I did have Jordan Mueller, our food service coordinator, reach out to me, and she said she would really appreciate these days because we can't find sub cooks. And so our 3-hour cooks and 6-hour cooks are stretched very thin. So we need to really get in there and do some deep cleaning on our kitchen. Like tomorrow, we're doing a sack type lunch for our kids because we need to shut the dishwashers down and do the deep clean. And that's an extensive process that they can't do and run a normal food service day. So, for a lot of various reasons, we could definitely use these 2 days in the spring to work on professional development. The calendar committee intentionally put those days. Let me scroll up so you can see the calendars. They intentionally put those days around days we're already off. So we're off on the 18th of February and the 21st because the 21st is President's Day. It's a holiday. That kind of, if families wanted to plan a little trip, that would give them the opportunity there to take their kids and go do something. And then we would be off on the 11th already for a professional development day. And again, it would give our families the opportunity, if they wanted to do a little trip, get away and go see family or friends, they could do that. So they intentionally put those days there as a suggestion. So this is the recommendation for you to consider tonight. Did I miss anything?
Those are scheduled days off anyway?
No.
Days off.
Right now, February 17th and March 14th are days with students present.
Okay.
So it would be, we would amend the calendar, enter it for the State Department to see the amendment. But they would be days without students, but all employees would be here completing professional development.
We would still meet our minimum number of hours.
Yes, actually that's at the bottom. Thank you for the reminder. We're required by state law to attend 1,044 hours. Removing those 2 days, which are 6.5 hours each, would take us to 1,095, which still puts us 50 hours above the required minimum attendance hours.
They used to do it days, but now they switch it to hours.
They do hours, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the revisions to the 21-22 school calendar as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm glad we can do this for our teachers, and
Absolutely.
I hope in light of last year and this year, we can do more going forward. Next on the new business agenda, we have the special school bond election, April 5th, 2022.
All right. So, in October, we presented the long-range facility plan, and you approved that plan. We held meetings from January of 20 through this past summer. COVID kind of shut our timeline down for a while. And out of all of that committee work and all of the people that are involved, 8 immediate priorities came out. 1 was to build an early childhood center. 2 was at St. John Elementary to address the HVAC, the ADA compliance entries and offices, and to also look at the gym because the gym is not big enough for the entire school to be in at one time. Number 3 was the middle school, ADA, accessibility, and HVAC work. Bloomsdale Elementary, HVAC work to look at their entry and office space to create a more secure double-gated entry for that building, and to also address issues that may come up with the lagoon. And when we presented in October, everything was fine with the lagoon. But I think it was maybe 5 days after I presented that, we got a letter from DNR stating that they're going to try to make lagoons go away. So we are now working with our engineer again to see if we can get an extension on the lagoon and at least leave it in place for a small period of time while we work with the engineer to come up with a solution on what we need to do. Number 5 is the high school, addition of a gym, practice gym, and a new weight room. Our current weight room is the same weight room that I used in high school 30 years ago, and is very small for our population of students here. Number 6, Yanks and Leon Fields, address the lighting, the fencing, bleachers, and restrooms. Number 7 at the high school is to address the restrooms. They're very dated here. Can use some ADA work too. And number 8 is technology, our card readers on the exit doors. We are going to, you've already approved pulling the HVAC work for St. John Elementary. We're going to proceed bringing in some of the ESSER funds with we're using salary and benefits to bring in ESSER funds, and that's going to free up some local funds to do that HVAC work to make sure that the chillers will work in the spring in that building and it will not be hot. So working with the committee, working with the finance company, working with our architect, this is the special school bond election language for the April 5th, 2022 ballot. So I'm just going to read it to you if you're okay with that. The proposition is called Proposition SG, and it says, shall the Board of Education of the St. Genevieve County R2 School District, Missouri, without an estimated increase in the current debt service property tax levy, borrow money in the amount of $20 million for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, renovating, expanding, improving, furnishing, and equipping school sites, buildings, and related facilities, including, without limitation, a new early childhood center, ADA accessibility for entryways and building levels, secure vestibule entry points, office reconfigurations and gymnasium renovation, lagoon update, weight room and practice gymnasium addition, student restroom updates, baseball and softball fields, lights, bleachers, and bullpen fencing installation, technology infrastructure district-wide updates to the extent funds are available, complete other repairs and improvements to the existing facilities of the district, and issue general obligation bonds for the payment thereof. If this proposition is approved, the adjusted debt service levy of the school district is estimated to remain unchanged at 44 cents per $100 of assessed valuation of real and personal property tax. Then the instructions on the ballot would be, if you want to approve this proposition, you vote yes. If you oppose it, you vote no. So that is the exact ballot language that would be on the April 5th election. I know that's a very large number, $20 million, but working with our finance company, we had, her name's Courtney Wegman from LJ Hart and Company, come and present in early May to our district level facility committee. Courtney did the calculations, and our current bonding capacity, if you look at a local assessed valuation that really doesn't take into the Wholesome coming on the tax books because they're protesting their taxes, our bonding capacity would be $62,382,313. If you take our current debt service out of there, which is $7,980,000, and we have a slight balance. Anyway, when you do all of those calculations and you take our current debt service out, our general obligation bonding capacity is $55,829,710. So running a $20 million bond issue, we would still have an excess bonding capacity of $35 million. This $20 million bond issue would not max out our bonding capacity. We still have a very large balance, and again, that's without adding the value of Wholesome into our assessed valuation because of that protest.
So Wholesome were on the books, well, I guess they are.
They're on the books, but we're not including
They're on
them
the
in the
books and
capital.
not challenging themselves, that bond capacity would be about $125 million.
It would double, yes, because bringing Folsom on is almost doubling our assessed valuation in the community.
But instead, we're gonna go with them not on the books. 62 million bonding capacity, we've got 8 million in debt after this year,
Pretty close.
and we would hope to have this approved and at 20 million, still under half of our bonding capacity,
Correct.
and no tax increase.
Correct. I know it says in the language, it's estimated to remain unchanged. That's kind of, legal jargon. But we have no intention, I have no intention, there's no need to raise that service amount with this bond.
And a raise in that would still have to go through this board, which I would
Correct.
find those votes probably hard to find.
Yes, it would have to be an approved board increase if it was.
Does this need to pass just over 50%, or what does that have to pass at?
50.
50?
It's like 57.
I think in the spring, is it just 50% in the spring?
Something like
57 or?
4 sevenths.
4 seconds.
4 7.
4 7. See, I knew it was.
Right, 7.
57%.
Okay.
Other election is 2/3, this was 4
This
seconds.
was
4
4
7.
4 7. Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No. That's right.
Okay.
This would solve
A lot of problems.
a lot of problems, particularly in our elementaries, but
Yes.
even more than that, but at least that's what I'm seeing.
Yes, it will not solve space issues next year. So we're going to have to come up with a plan to deal with some of those, but definitely long-term down the road. It would free up some of our elementary classrooms, moving our early childhood program into one place.
And the 20 million is based on estimates from our architect.
Correct. And with the cost of building materials being high and fluctuating high, and they do seem to be dropping, we would use the money, all of these may be done, or all of these may be done. It just kind of depends when the money runs out, that's when we're finished. So whatever is not completed with this bond issue would definitely roll on to one in the future. But they are pretty comfortable that 20 million could do it all.
20 million could cover the items listed here,
Yes.
barring some crazy fluctuation in building material.
Correct.
There was
That
a
would
lot
never
of
happen.
people on that committee, right, that came up with these.
Yes. Over 100. I didn't actually count them, but somebody else did.
I don't think our last bond was.
Our last bond was in 2014. And that's another reason that our bonding capacity is high. Is we have not done one for quite some time.
So it'll be 8 years between.
Yes, we had intentions of running one last year in 21, but again, COVID shut the committee work down on the plan and backed up our timeline.
I think we did everything in the last bond that we intended to do, and probably then some, so we kept our promise.
Yeah.
Well, ever since we've been doing this, that was our main goal, was to make sure that we were honest with the public and did what we said we were going to do, and we've
Yes.
done that with everything that we've done.
Yes.
Last bond issue with fields, safety and security updates.
Yes.
This has an extensive amount of ADA, safety and security in it also.
Yes, ADA accessibility came out as a top priority pretty quick, especially when you look at our middle school, very old building. We have kids in wheelchairs who have mobility issues that can't do those steps to get up to that top floor. So they never see the top floor of that building, and what we do is we move a teacher who maybe have a classroom upstairs, they flip rooms hours to accommodate the student. But those students deserve to have access to that top floor just like everyone else.
And this would add an elevator to the middle school.
Yes. And it would address the issue at St. John Elementary. To get into that building, you have to go through steps. And if you can't do the steps, you have to call ahead and make arrangements to be met at the bridge. Is that where you?
Or the cafeteria door.
Oh, yes. And someone meets you and helps you in the building.
Okay, I move to approve the resolution calling for a special school bond election to be held on April 5th, 2022.
Second.
A motion and a second. What required to do a roll call, are we? We'll do a roll call. So a motion and a second to approve the resolution calling for a special school bond election to be held on April 5th. David Bova, yes. Eric Bosler? Yes. Geraldine Diesel?
Yes.
James Kirschner?
Yes.
Martha Reesinger?
Yes.
Richard Rudloff?
Yes.
Terrence McDaniel?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Next, we have adjourned to executive. Mr. McDaniel.
You'll have any papers later. Okay. All right. I motion, under revised Missouri Statute 610.021, I motion that the Board of Education adjourn to a closed meeting with a closed record and closed vote after a short break for the purpose of discussing and voting upon the following items of business: leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate by a public government body, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees, and scholastic probation, expulsion, or graduation of identifiable individuals.
Second.
Did you second there?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call. David Bova?
Yes.
Eric Belcher?
Yes.
Gerald Diesel?
Yes.
Jim Kirchner?
Yes.
Martha Reesinger?
Yes.
Richard Rudolph?
Yes.
Terrence McDaniel, yes. Motion carries 7-0.
48.
8:40.